Okay, so get this right. A plane just vanishes in Alaska.
Vanishes.
It's like no Mayday, no it's like straight out of a mystery novel.
Wow.
We're diving deep, folks, into an article from The Independent. This one was published January 30th of this year, and we're going to try and figure out what we know, what we don't, and why this story has captivated so many people.
You know what's really fascinating to me about this story is it's not just about a missing plane, right?
No.
It's about the environment where it happened, the Aleutian Islands.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, picture this, a chain of volcanic islands stretching across the North Pacific, connecting Alaska to Russia.
Wow.
You know, these islands are known for their incredible beauty, but also they're known for their unpredictable weather, which makes this disappearance even more intriguing.
Yeah, I was reading up on the Aleutians, and you're right, they sound absolutely stunning. But incredibly isolated volcanoes, wild weather, it almost makes you wonder if the landscape itself played a role.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the terrain adds a whole other layer of complexity to this whole situation. I mean, think about it. Dense fog, strong winds, freezing temperatures. We're talking about a challenging environment at the best of times.
Yeah.
Now imagine trying to conduct a search and rescue operation in those conditions.
Oh my God.
It becomes a race against time. Every minute counts.
And this particular flight just adds to the mystery of it all.
Yeah.
Right, we've got a Bering airplane, a Cessna 208 Caravan,
Caravan.
vanishes with only the pilot and a single passenger on board. They were flying from Unalaska to Atka, 2 islands in the Aleutian chain, and then nothing.
Yeah, and to your point, the article highlights that there was no distress call,
Oh, wow.
which, you know, is often a key clue in these types of situations because it suggests that whatever happened happened fast. There was no time to react.
Yeah.
And it makes the search that much more complicated.
So if I'm picturing this right in my mind, search teams don't even really have a clear starting point because there was no final communication.
Exactly.
We're basically trying to find a needle in a massive and very hostile haystack.
You got it. And the article goes on to detail how the U.S. Coast Guard is leading the search.
Okay.
They're using helicopters and a C-130 aircraft.
Wow.
And you also have these amazing volunteers from the Civil Air Patrol who are pitching in to help.
That's great.
It really speaks to the spirit of community in those areas.
Yeah.
But it's a daunting task, no doubt.
You mentioned the Cessna Caravan earlier.
I did.
Isn't that model supposed to be pretty rugged? I mean, I think it could handle tough conditions.
It is. It's known for its reliability, particularly in challenging environments like the Aleutians.
Yeah.
But, you know, even the toughest machines have their limits. And the lack of a distress call really makes you wonder if there was some kind of sudden mechanical failure that they just couldn't overcome.
Which makes finding that black box all the more crucial.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
could provide answers about those critical last moments.
Yeah, if that black box is equipped and assuming they can recover it,
Right.
it could hold vital data, everything from altitude and speed to any potential system failures.
So where does that leave us then? I mean, we have this plane disappearing into thin air, a challenging environment, dedicated search teams, and a lot of unanswered questions. What are some realistic possibilities here?
Well, I think you have to consider the weather, right?
Yeah.
Could a sudden storm or, you know, a really thick fog bank have disoriented the pilot?
Yeah,
It's definitely possible in that region.
absolutely.
And then there's the question of mechanical issues, as we talked about.
Right.
Even with a reliable aircraft like the Caravan, something could have gone wrong, and it could have gone wrong very quickly.
Yeah, without that distress call, we just don't know what the pilot was dealing with.
Exactly.
It really makes you think about the families that are waiting for news.
It does.
The not knowing must be agonizing.
It underscores the human cost of these situations, right?
Yeah.
You know, we have 2 individuals who are missing, and their loved ones are undoubtedly going through a roller coaster of emotions.
I can't even imagine.
It's just a stark reminder of the very real impact that these events have, especially in those close-knit communities.
We've talked about the environment. We've talked about the search of the missing plane. But what's a bigger takeaway for you here? What should our listeners be reflecting on as this story unfolds?
You know, for me, it's a reminder that despite all of our technological advancements, we are still vulnerable to the forces of nature.
Wow.
And sometimes, even despite our best efforts, some mysteries just remain unsolved.
This deep dive has definitely left me with a lot to think about the vastness of Alaska, the resilience of search and rescue teams, and that just enduring mystery surrounding this disappearance. If anything, it makes me appreciate the technology that we do have
Yeah.
while acknowledging its limitations.
And it begs the question, what advancements could be made to improve our chances of finding missing aircraft in these remote and challenging locations?
The Coast Guard just found one that seems to match the description.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, just saw it on Fox News. So we're going to break it all down, figure out what we know, what we don't know. What do you say?
Sounds good to me. Let's dive in.
All right. First off, finding a missing plane, especially in a place like Alaska, it's going to be tough, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Alaska, it's vast.
Yeah.
Rugged terrain, crazy weather, like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Exactly. And I bet those search and rescue teams, they've got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, they do incredible work. But it's definitely a challenge up there. You've got dense forests, mountains, blizzards. It's not easy.
No kidding. Makes you think about the families involved too, right? Waiting for any kind of news. Must be agonizing.
Oh, for sure. The not knowing, it's incredibly tough. Finding the plane, even if, well, it's a mix of emotions, but at least there's some closure.
Yeah, you're right. Speaking of which, the article didn't say anything about, like, the condition of the plane or anything, or if anyone survived.
Right, right. We don't have those details yet, which is understandable, I guess,
Yeah.
early stages and all that, but it really shows you how much we depend on those search and rescue folks to get us those answers.
Totally. And then, once they get the plane back, I'm guessing the investigation starts, right? Trying to figure out what went wrong.
Absolutely. That's the next crucial step. Like solving a puzzle, got to figure out the why.
Right. So what kinds of things do they look at? Is it just, like, examining the wreckage?
Well, it's more than that. The NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, they're the ones who usually lead these investigations, and they take a really deep dive.
Makes sense.
They'll look at the wreckage for sure, but also things like the flight data recorder, the black box. Try to piece together what happened.
Oh, right, the black box. I always forget about that.
It's super important. It can tell you things like altitude, speed, direction. A lot of information helps them build a timeline of events.
Wow, that's amazing. So what are they looking for? Like, what could have caused the plane to go down?
Well, there's a whole range of possibilities. Could be a mechanical issue, bad weather, even pilot error.
Oh, right. I always think about the weather in Alaska, but yeah, any of those things could happen anywhere.
Exactly. And pilot error, it's not always like a simple mistake. Sometimes it's things like spatial disorientation. Hard to imagine, but especially in a place like Alaska, with the vastness and sometimes featureless terrain, it can happen.
That's wild. So
Yeah.
basically, they're going to try and put all those pieces together to figure out the most likely cause.
Yep. And that information, it's not just for this one incident. It helps make flying safer for everyone.
How so?
Well, sometimes these investigations, they lead to changes in regulations maybe, or aircraft design, even pilot training procedures.
Oh, I see. So they're constantly learning and trying to improve things.
Exactly. It's all about minimizing risk, making sure something like this is less likely to happen again.
Wow, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. Like, even in a tragedy, there's a chance to learn and grow.
Absolutely. And that's why these investigations are so important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, for now, we know the plane's been found, and that's good news. But there are still a lot of unanswered questions.
Definitely. But hopefully we'll get some more answers as the investigation goes on.
Fingers crossed. Well, this has been quite a deep dive. Alaska, missing planes, investigations.
Yeah.
It's all pretty intense.
It is. But it makes you think, right?
It does. So for anyone listening, what do you think? What could have led to this plane going missing? What can we learn from this whole situation?
It's a good question to ponder.
It is. And hopefully, as more information comes out, we'll be able to dive even deeper. So stay tuned for that. And until then, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next time.
See ya.